Welcome to another episode of that Worship Guitar Show, brought to you by worshipguitarskills.com with me, Charl and the WGS team. You'll discover how to go from a frustrated to fluent worship guitarist without having to practice for hours on end or even spend thousands of dollars on new gear. We'll help you unleash your true potential so you can make the most of the gifts and talents you've been entrusted with, and finally grow into the amazing worship guitar player you've been destined to become. Welcome, and let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of that Worship Guitar Show. We are super stoked to be here with you guys today. This is our third episode, and every time we're running one of these, we are getting more familiar with everything involved with streaming live and getting all the camera angles and all the views together. So we're really excited to be building up that momentum. So if you can hear us and see us, please let us know in the comments. Let us know if the audio sounded good, and also please let me know where you are tuning in from. We can see we've got Mick Cullen, one of our Academy members from Australia, representing Down Under. We've got Stephen, one of our members here in South Africa. We've got Ademir. We see that you are from Brazil. I just will not be able to read your comment, but we'll add these on the screen for you guys to see. And we've got Charles, another one of our members, saying audio is great, and he's tuning in from Sydney. Welcome, Charles. Great to see you. So awesome to see you guys here. And we've got a pretty good show planned today. And one of the things I'd love to do is obviously also open it up for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions around anything that we're going to be talking about, go ahead and put the comments in the comment section, and then we'll answer those when we get to the Q&A section. So we've got Mick saying audio all good. We've got Sam from India saying love your content, good work. And we've got Brian, hello from Melbourne, Australia. Hey Brian, great to see you. Yes, we're going to be alternating these streams as well to account for different time zones. And we've been kind of focusing on the Aussie time zone and in the US time zone. And I had one member emailing me in, and I think he was from Alaska. And so we're going to try and see if there's a third time zone that we kind of need to take into account over here. But we'll make sure that we've got these streams on the channel so you guys can go ahead and catch the replays of that as well. All right, so welcome guys. Mick says another Victorian for Melbourne. That's good. You guys can team up and have some jam sessions in person. That's always the best. So always love seeing that. All right, so the focus of our stream today is kind of unlocking the neck using triads, but also learning how to embellish these triads. We've had some members giving us some great feedback around some of our triad lessons that we've shown on the channel, and also showing you how you can embellish those and what you can do with them. And then we've also had some folks say, this is awesome, but can we do a few more examples as it relates to how to use these things in songs? So we are going to be doing that as well. We're going to be taking How Great Is Our God today, and we're going to be checking that out and showing you guys what you can do for that. So let me go ahead and dial up my guitar sound here. We are going to play a track, which is one of the tracks that we used for some of our previous videos. It's simply a 1-6-4-5 progression, and I'm going to kind of show you a few things with regards to these triads and how you can embellish them. So we're going to cover that, and then we're going to be having a jam session over How Great Is Our God, and kind of showing you guys how you can slice and dice the neck for different outcomes as it relates to choosing your chord voicing. So let's do a close-up on the guitar and fire away with this track, and then we'll see where that leads us. All right, looks like we had a bit of a glitch there with the audio. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just trigger that track again and show you guys that section one more time. And then afterwards, I'll show you what we are doing with the audio and with the actual voicings. So here we've got 1, going to 6, going to 4, and then 5. So I'm gonna play embellished triads. It sounds like this. All right, so there we go. Basically, what you've heard there was a 1, 6, 4, 5 progression in the key of G. But I wasn't playing the standard triads. If I were playing standard triads, it would sound something like this. It's like G, E minor, C, and then D. Nothing wrong with that. But what if you want to add some color and spice? Well, then you can do this. Or something like this. And you can also do this. G, E minor 7, C major 7 to a D add 4. All right, so as you can see, that brings a little bit of color to our playing. And what I want to show you now is I'm going to pull up the iPad and show you guys how this concept works. And then we're going to do a couple of 2-chord vamps to show you how you can go ahead and do that. So you should see the fretboard on the screen right now. And all this is the full G major scale all across the neck. Over here, we've got what we call the E shape. And then over there, we've got what we call the C shape. And then over here, we've got what we call, let's see, that would be the G shape. So it's a combination of different shapes. So if I were to play just the C, let me go ahead and highlight that, the G triads. I'll just make them nice and big so we can see what they look like over there. So all of those, if I get another color here, that's my first version of G, the second version, and the third version. So very rough and ready, but I can play G like this. I can play it over there. And then I can play it over here. Now that is Triads 101, right? Now we want to see, well, what can we do to embellish these triads a little bit if we wanted to get some additional sounds? And that's what I'm going to show you right now. I can go ahead, let me make this a little smaller, and let me just use a different color. So I'm going to do, let's just go for this green. This is a standard G triad. All right. Now, I've got 3 strings with 3 notes. As we can see, this is our first note, our second note, and our third note. So that's simply what's going on there. So now, I can either take my note up higher to the next note in the scale or down to the lowest note in the scale. And I can do that same thing for each of the strings. And I'll fix that now to go to a C. So the B can go to the C there, and the B can also go to the A. So let's go ahead and just select this chord. I'm going to duplicate that and then just put it over there so you guys can see what's happening. So as a shorthand, what we are doing here is I can take G up to A and G down to F sharp. And that is one of the first shapes that I used when I played G before. So instead of just playing G like this, which is those 3 notes, I'm now going to add in the A note, and then that's going to look like this. And that note there, as you can see, is an A note right there. It's an A note that I'm adding on top of the G, which then makes this what we call a G add 9. So it's a normal G chord, but I'm adding the 9th. So what I'm going to do is I've got another track here. It's simply going to cycle between 1 and 2. So it's G major to A minor. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a standard G the first time, and then the second time I'm going to do the add 9, just so you can kind of hear the difference in the sound there. So let's trigger the 1-2 track over here. So standard G. You can just hear it's plain vanilla, right? A minor. Let's go again, standard G. And a standard A minor. But now let's spice it up with a G add 9. And that's got a different ring to it. Here's a minor add 11, I believe. One more time, embellished. To A minor add 11. And now I'm going to play the standard G A minor again. See how that gives us that movement. I'm getting movement. All right. So what I did there is basically just, I went ahead and I added the A note in. So sorry, I moved that. Let's move it back there. I added in this A note over there. So can you see how cool that sounded? Simply adding in the A note. So then it becomes a G add 9. Now I can also, instead of going up to, taking that note up to the G, from the G to the A, I can take it down to the F sharp, and now that's going to give me what we call a G major 7th without having to play like a jazz voicing. And what do I mean with a jazz voicing? Well, this is a typical voicing in jazz. You play G major 7, or this, or this, or this. I mean, there's many jazzy voicings to play F or G major 7, but in the worship context, that's a little bit too big of a chord. But if I'm going to play a G triad, and I'm going to go to the F sharp, which means I'm now going to throw in that note over there, then what that does is now making this G triad a G major 7. And then when I go to, I can play an A minor 7 like that. I'm going to show you where that comes from, and I can go to a D7. So let's cue that 1-2 track again, and I'll show you what the G major 7 looks like. We'll start by playing the plain vanilla version, so let's check it out. Straightforward G, straightforward A minor. Nothing wrong with that. G major 7. With a bit of movement. Alright, so what I did there is I added in this F sharp. Now I can go crazy and take this note up a fret, the D note, or I can take the D note down, sorry, not a fret, up to the next note. The D can go to the E, or the D can go down to the C. So what I'm going to do in this next one, This is a pretty cool one, is I am actually going to go ahead and replace this D note. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to replace the D note with this C note. And that's going to give me G add 11. Because I've got a G chord here, but I'm adding in the 11. Alright, so what happened there is I moved this D note to that C note. Let's play that same track again. I'm going to start plain vanilla so we can just hear what the normal version sounds like, and then I'm going to add in this G add 11. Let's check that out. Straightforward G. Straightforward A minor. This G add 4, listen to this. Again, the add 4 or add 11. Back to plain vanilla. To add 11. Let's do that nice tension. Plain vanilla to an add 11. Alright, so that is the basic concept that you can do there with these chords. And like you see in this case, instead of going up to the E, I just went down to the C. Now there's so many more things that you can do. Let's go ahead and get rid of that C over there. And let's add in the C over here. So now the B can go to that C. And this is really the, what do you call it? The G sus4, which is the typical U2 sound. So again, I'm just taking a standard G chord and I'm going to a G sus4. Let's cue that same track again, but this time we're going to do a 1-4 progression, and I'm going to show you something cool there in a second. So let's trigger the 1-4. So it's G sus4 to C sus2. I didn't change my notes, they stayed the same. G sus4 to C sus2. How cool is that? Now with a bit of movement. So hopefully you can see that now you can start getting a lot of mileage out of these, because all I did for the G chord is I played G, D, and C, which gave me that G sus4, and then I left them as the same notes, which gave me a C sus2. And that is the basic premise of this whole concept, which is how you can go ahead and move notes around the neck and really get a lot of mileage out of that. Now what I did here is I just showed you that if I take the G chord, which again, it's the G notes, right? So that means I can either go up with the highest note or down with the highest note, or up with the middle note or down with the middle note, or up with the lowest note or down with the lowest note. So that is kind of the 6 variations you can get from that one chord. Pretty cool, right? Now what you can do now is actually, if you look at our next chord, which will be an A minor triad, and this is A minor there. I used some of this already, but for example, the one that I used is I took my middle note, that E went down to the D. So then it's still an A minor, but I'm adding in this 11. So for the G, it's like a G add 9, and then the A minor add 11. That adds just a bit of extra sound. So if you wanted to see the notes that I'm playing, it's the A, the D, and the C. That is pretty cool. I can now also, if I wanted to, instead of going, what I just did there is I took the middle note down, right? So I can not take the middle note down, but I can take the top note down. And that means instead of playing A minor like this, I can play it like this. And for you guys knowing the triads, you know, wow, that looks like a C triad. And you'd be right, because it's these three notes. But because this is played over an A in the bass, that gives me A minor 7. And that's why you can now, for example, play G sus4 to A minor 7. So let me cue the track for you there and show you how I can do G sus4 to A minor 7 using a shape that looks like a C major triad. sus4 on the G, A minor 7. Listen to the rich sound, but not a lot's happening. G sus4, A minor 7. Now if I want to do some lead stuff around those same notes, same notes. With a bit of movement, and I can do movement here. Movement. Alright, so let me know in the comments if this is useful to kind of see how you can take a simple concept that you already know, which is the triads, and see how you can go ahead and experiment with those. And all I did here for the movement in the A, that was my main triad, the A minor, but I went from the G to the A, and then from the A to the B, and the B to the C, all while keeping those notes the same. And that kind of gives me this. And if you got songs where there's a bit of the chords ring for a little bit, then you have an opportunity where you can go ahead and, you know, just embellish these triads and get some movement, which is what I've just done there. And when I played the more rhythmic lead pattern that Charles is mentioning there, basically for the G sus4, that's my shape, and then this is my normal G, and then it's just and if I don't know if I can switch this delay off. It's a proper worship pedal board here. I haven't programmed to turn off the delay on this one, but let's see if I got one here that I can go without any delay. Alright, this is a funny moment, guys. The delay is kind of a permanent fixture there. I'll get another sound that I can pull up easily and just show you guys how you can, let's see, can I turn the delay off here? Also not. We'll leave that for another time, but basically that rhythmic pattern is not much happening, just and all of that just comes from these notes. And then the same for the A minor 7. So I can play G add 9, G major 7, G6, G add 4, G sus4, G sus2, back to a G. So I had 7 shapes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Before going back to the main shape again. And all I did there is, let me show you this again. Let's undo those. See if I can get rid of this. All right, cool. So all I did was I played G like this. That's my triad. But then, so that's my first shape. I went to the higher note, second shape, lower note, second shape. The middle higher note, third, the lower middle note, 4, 5, 6, and of course my main shape is 7, right? So that is how you can get 7 versions of G. I'll do it for you one more time. G major, G add 9, G major 7, G 6, G add 4, G sus 4, G sus 2, and G. And I can do the same with this G. G, let me go ahead and just pop that in there for us so we can see it. That G, I can now take the B to the C, the B to the A, the G to the A, the G to the F sharp, the D to the E, or the D to the C. So it's literally just taking each note and then going up and down on each note. So let's see what you can get here. This is G major, G sus 4, G sus 2, G add 9, G major 7, G 6, G add 4, whoops. All right, there you go, G add 4, and then back to the G. So again, 7 shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and back there. And then I can do the same with the next G, and you can probably see where this is going to go, that G, right? I can now again take the D up to the E, the D down to the C, the B up to the C, the B down to the A, the G up to the A, or the G down to the F sharp. That'll give me my 7 variations of G up here. So that's G major, G6, G sus 4, G sus 2, and then we've got this kind of a G add 9 over there, and then again kind of a G major 7. So there's so many shapes that you can get out of this. Of course, you don't want to learn all of them, but you'll get a couple of fun ones that you can do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you 1-2 progression again, and I'm going to use this this version of a D. Now you might be wondering, why am I playing it with fingers 3, 4, and 2 instead of 1, 2, and 3? Well, this is my shape. I'll just show you there. That's my shape. Now I want to have some fun between the C and the D on the low G string. So and then I'm going to have a similar thing for the A minor 7. So let's do the 1-2 track once more, and I'll show you some fun stuff there. All right, so as you can see, once you know that that is your shape, and you've got a note before it, which is that D that can go to that C note over there, then you can have some fun with another kind of a etc. So all I've shown you now is 7 versions for G over there, 7 versions for G over here, and 7 versions for G over there. That's 21 versions. Now, before we get to Q&A, what you can also do is you can go ahead and do this with all the other shapes. Remember, if you've got A minor over here, and I'll show you that. I think we looked at that briefly before. Let's get rid of these, the G now, and so that, so that we can go to the A minor, right? So if I have A minor like this, those 3 notes, remember I can go up to the B, down to the G. E goes up to the F sharp, E goes down to the D, C goes up to the D, C goes down to the B. All right, so in the same way that we have 7 versions for the G, we can have 7 versions for the A minor, 7 versions for the B minor, 7 versions for the C, 7 versions for the D, 7 versions for the E minor, 7 versions for your F sharp diminished, and 7 versions for G. Now, of course, that's a lot, especially if you count in your inversions. But I just wanted to show you, start experimenting with this and trust your ear. Don't wait for your head knowledge to kind of get to the point where it can play all of, I think there's 147 versions at the end of the day when you just start with the variations that we're doing. And if you're part of the Worship Guitar Skills Academy, you guys already got this PDF last week and we're going to be expanding on that. But basically, don't wait for your brain to learn all of these shapes. Just ask yourself, well, what is the progression? And then play your triads. So if it's G and C, right? Then learn how to embellish. G, the top note can go up, or it can go down, up, down, up, down. And just start experimenting and see what you can come up with over there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, nothing pre-planned here, but we're just going to kind of play that How Great Is Our God. It's in G, so our chords will be, let's go to the iPad, I'll write down the chords for us so we can see that. So the chords for this is simply, in the verses, we've got it as, God, let's write it over this fretboard. Well, let's write it in that gap there. So we've got G as the 1, we've got E minor, and C. That's what's happening in the verses, and then the chorus is G, E minor, C, D, and G. So now, when you learn these as triads, when you learn these, let's move that up a little bit. When you learn these as triads, you can now see you can play G like that, you can play E minor like this, you can play G like that, oh sorry, C. But, why just do that? So if you know the song, it's can you see how naturally that note that is being embellished, that's what singers do. They don't always just sing the chord tones. Most of the stuff is based off chord tones, but then they're adding in additional notes for some color, for variation, and adding some tension that they can resolve. So can you see how you can easily play that G and just echo the melody. I'm gonna cue the track and I'm just gonna mess around and play a couple of things. If you have any questions, now's the time to put them in the comment section. We'll answer that afterwards. And let's see what I can do with embellishing triads over these chords, and let's see what we come up with over there. So it's a verse. So add 9, and E minor 7, a C sus 2, and here we're going to the chorus section. then you can go, yeah, I believe, so yes, there we go. As you can see, literally what I taught you in the beginning of this song, while in the lesson for our live stream here, is taking these embellishments, the triads, you embellish them by adding a note on top or below, and then doing the same for all the inversions. And Brian is saying here, Charl, are these basically inversions with some variation? 100%. 100%. So let me show you. This is G. How great is our God? That's the melody there. And in E minor, the top note goes up, then a C sus, because it's a normal C but with a note down, and then there we go. And if we go to the bridge section, again, it's just a normal G that I went up to the C. And then the E minor goes up to the C. And then it's an actual C, and then a D. So basically that's the gist of it. And if you look at your shapes here that I've shown you, it's just learning your triads, like Brian is saying. These are just basic inversions. And then the whole trick is this. Know the inversion to start with, then know your full scale just to actually know what the notes of the scale are. Then you go up, down, from the high note to the middle note, up, down, and the low note, up and down. And you can do that for your G, for your A minor, for your B minor, for your C, for your D, for your E minor, your F sharp diminished, and again your G. So you take 7 shapes with 7 variations, 7 times 7, I think it's 149. Kennan's going to fact check us on that. But that's basically a lot of voicings, but you don't need to learn them as long as you just know. And Mick was saying earlier, if I wait for my brain to learn them all, I would never play guitar again. But here's the thing I want to tell you is you already know this, because that's your G. Up, down, up, down, up, down, G. So as long as you know your scale, then you know how to go ahead and embellish these shapes. So that was a simple variation there that I can show you guys what you can do with these shapes, and actually seeing what is possible when you learn how to add in these little bits and pieces. And that's really what an embellishment is. And probably the embellishment that most of us will be familiar with is if you play a G chord. I mean, we all have done this on a guitar, right? Just, it's a D chord up to the G, down to the E, back to the F sharp. Now you don't have to play it like this, you just need to know that when you have a D over here, a G, you can go up, you can go down, and you can kind of play around. Let's see if I were to do this together with an A minor 7. So let's do that 1-2 variation again. Before we do that, Brian is saying, this is incredible, thanks. I've only been replacing chord number with inversions, but not moving the same inversion over the neck. Yeah, so you have 2 choices. Like you can play G over there, play G over there, and you play G over there. So that's one variation. And of course you can do G here, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there, right? But that gets just, it's pretty much just a plain vanilla version. So if you learn these, you don't have to move. You just add a finger, add a finger, add a different note, different note, different note. They're all based around the same shape. And that way you can start to experiment. And this is really one of the things that you do is if you learn this and you can kind of get a sense of what the melody is doing, you've seen this even in the intro. That's what they sing, right? They're just singing the triad notes, nothing major there. So you know that the song, if you're gonna play it in G, this is the melody is built around this area. But if you went to the other song, what do you call that? You're the name above all names. Then we know the melody has shifted to this section, right? So why am I saying that? I'm saying you've got 3 versions of a triad. The melody is going to be in one of those areas because singers don't jam all over the neck, you know. They kind of find one area and stick around it. And this song, How Great Is Our God, is such a great example of a congregational song. Anybody can sing that, so to speak, because the notes are close to each other, nothing fancy there, right? So find the inversion where the melody notes are situated, and then know that, okay, great, with a little bit of adding or removing notes within that same shape, you are going to find those versions there. So hopefully that's helpful. We've got some more time for questions. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments section. And what we're going to do is we'll play let's just see, what am I going to do? Let's do the 1-2 one more time, and then I'll show you what you can do with some interesting shapes there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a G, and I'm going to do a G sus9, and then I'm going to do an A minor to an A minor 9. Let's listen to what that sounds like. 1, 2. All right, so it's so much that you can do and have some fun with those kind of shapes. Shadrach saying, thanks for the lesson, and Charles is saying, great tip. And then Brian is saying, I see you have a Kemper. Is that your main rig? Yes, that's my main rig. I also used the Jet Pedals Revelation Reverb, and we are going to be adding in the Lamb Overdrive, excuse me, the Lamb Overdrive. We'll be doing a video on that. We've got a video on the Revelation Reverb as well. And if you guys want to check that out, we've got a 20% discount. I think it's 10% or 20% discount. We'll put the links in the description if you want to check that out at Jet Pedals, and there's a clickable link in the description with a code that will get you a discount. And yeah, so that's my main rig. The Kemper's the main rig. We're actually going to get a Helix soon, because so many folks have been asking us, you know, can we share the tones? Now, we know not everybody has a Kemper, and also the Kemper patches that I'm using, those are amps that I didn't profile. So I'll have to chat to the guys at Tone Junkie to see if we can make that patch available to you guys, since they created the patch. But when it comes to the Helix, because it's based on modeling and not profiling, we'll be able to go ahead and recreate all of these sounds. And for those folks with a Helix or with an HX Stomp, you guys will be able to go ahead and, get some of our patches for that. So Mick is saying Helix for the win, and then Brian is saying love the palm muting staccato. Yeah, that is something that I kind of stumbled upon, and everything I've shown you today as it relates to the notes that we are using, that's literally just kind of showing you the actual notes that you're going to play, which is all triad based, and you can go and experiment with those. So one thing I might recommend is if you get a backing track that is just on the one note the whole time, then you can go in and experiment and see, what you can do with the shape. So if I, for example, had an E like this, then that's my E minor, E minor 7, even an E sus4, E sus2. Now this, listen to this. This doesn't sound right. It's an E minor flat 5, flat 6, E minor flat 6. But in that song is the name above every name. That's all they're playing there. It's over an E minor, and then momentarily going to the C, and then the rest of the notes. So yeah, get yourself kind of a pedal tone that you can practice, and then play your triads that across the neck, and then see how you can go ahead and embellish those. What we're going to be doing is we're actually going to release a whole training around this with backing tracks, tabs, PDFs, and examples, along with explanations. It's not ready yet. We're working on that. But you can just check the links in the description. And if you go to thatworshipguitarshow.com, there's going to be a place where you can sign up. That will add you to our mailing list. And we'll, number one, let you know whenever we do new shows like this one. When we release new YouTube videos, go and check out our channel. There's a ton of videos on the channel. And whenever we release new trainings, some free, some paid. And if you're on the mailing list at thatworshipguitarshow.com, we can go ahead and keep you posted. So there we go. This is the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. Brian is saying he uses an X8. The X effect would be great to know the settings to add to the fractal. Yeah, that's another one that we can go ahead and looking at getting that piece of gear, because then we can go ahead and actually create the patches and then make those available. And I think sound is so important when you have a sound that you can trust. And what I mean by that, that it's going to kind of respond a certain way when you play live on a Sunday, and you know what your sound's what it's going to sound like. It really helps a lot. So we'll go ahead and be turning our attention on creating more patches in 2023. So keep an eye out for those things. But literally one of the biggest tips I can do is letting you guys know that if you improve your technique, that is one of the best ways that you can go ahead and improve your tone. Because now the more confident you become with playing, striking the strings, where to play the notes, how you embellish the notes, how you phrase, all those kind of things, it actually does affect your tone in a massive way. So technique together with tone, those things helps a lot. So Mick is saying people should join the academy, and Charles is saying he must be in flow state. It seems like 5 minutes. How was that an hour? Go ahead and join the academy. Thank you so much, Mick and Charles. And Brian, 100% says, 100% Mick. These are some of our members at the Worship Guitar Skills Academy, where we have live streams like this. We all get together on Zoom once a week, and I release all the training and resources. And we have an awesome community, guys chatting in the forum. The academy is basically made up of 3 components. We've got curriculum, where I teach all these things in a very systematic way that you guys see how we break it down. So that's our curriculum, right? Then we have our coaching, which is on Fridays. We have live streams. We can answer questions, folks sending their questions beforehand. And finally, we've got community. Like some of our members, we know they have their own Zoom sessions. They get together, they chat in the forum, and just getting everybody together in the same space online, where we can just go ahead and chat through, everything that we do. So with that, guys, thank you so much for showing up. And I agree with Charles. that 5 minutes, that hour did feel like 5 minutes. So that means we're having fun, because when you're in flow state, there's definitely fun there. So I'd love for you to grow and improve your worship guitar skills, because when you do that, and when we all do that collectively, we are able to better facilitate those amazing moments where people can have an encounter with God and really just grow in the understanding of the kingdom of God and what Jesus has done for us on the cross. And through that, we are making the world a better place through playing guitar, because it's not just about playing guitar, it's not just about playing music, but it's about worshiping and using our gifts, talents, and abilities to make His name great. So with that, I'm going to love and leave you guys for this stream. Thank you so much for showing up. We're on the channel, thatworshipguitarshow.com, if you want to get on our mailing list. We are here to stay, and we'll see you guys with another YouTube video probably early next week, another stream next week, and then for Charles and Mick and Brian and all of our Academy members, we'll see you guys tomorrow for another stream. Love you guys. Be blessed. Have a good one. Bye-bye.